you can see why Nigel puts him in the team, and there's a lot of defences that aren't the quickest in this league, so he does have the ability to go behind them. And we saw the 2 goals against Morecambe in the first 10 minutes completely just through the endeavour of Harvey Saunders. So we are a better team with him at the moment, especially without Luke Norris in the starting 11 at the moment. And like you say, Connor Jennings knows what he's doing. He's far exceeding expectations of being a steady weight there in the forward line. But we don't quite see the same opportunities being created and space given when we've got Jolly replacing Harvey Saunders. So like you say, his end product isn't where we'd want it to be. He's keeping up his averages, which he's had in other seasons, other clubs in terms of his goal scoring record. But we are seeing the reason why we signed him, I think, in that he is creating space opportunities and he can scare defenders with his pace.
I just think he's the better of the two, and hopefully he can continue doing that role. Although we know that Luke Norris is getting pretty close to a return to selection. He is now available. Jake Leake is the only player who will not be available for selection due to injury to the trip to the new lawn, unless something drastic has happened in training since Nigel Adkins gave his press conference the other day. Look, Luke Norris isn't going to be thrown in at the start, and he needs to be wrapped in cotton wool, really, because Tranmere wants to try and get the most and the best out of him over the remaining 13 games of the season. But just having him back and available, it immediately strengthens that subs bench, doesn't it? If I look at the subs bench that Tranmere had, for example, when they played Stockport last weekend, yes, Hawkes was on there, but the two central striking options were Dennis, who was underperformed, and Jolly, who we've seen a lot of without a huge amount of end product this season. If you suddenly throw Luke Norris on there, you're actually looking at someone who could potentially change a game if you're looking for a way of changing your tactics over the last half an hour of a match, or even if you're just looking to freshen things up. So half an hour of Luke Norris against Forest Green, or if he comes back against Swindon even, it makes a big difference.
Absolutely. And I think you used the word there, game changer. And if we're looking, you mentioned Christian Dennis, Charlie Jolly. If you're swapping them in for Connor Jennings or Harvey Saunders during the game, you're doing a like for like, but of a lesser quality for each, I would say. So Luke Norris does have that extra dimension to it. We've seen how well he's done when he has played, and we've noticed a difference at, thinking back in the summer when we played Salford at home and we were looking pretty good at half time, and then Luke Norris gets injured and it all goes to pot. Who knows where we'd be if he'd have stayed fit for the season. We do need to wrap him up in cotton wool. We don't need him to. We need to bring him back slowly, make sure he's back to full fitness before we start throwing him in the deep end. But yeah, the Josh Hawke seems to be that mainstay on the bench at the moment as our only option that can really change the dynamics picture of what might happen on the pitch. But yeah, a fit Luke Norris can only strengthen things, and hopefully that pressure on the forward line just makes others perform a bit better as well. But also, when we've got Robbie Apter and Kieran Morris swinging balls in, it's an extra option there if we get Luke Norris on there to if we need to go a bit direct in the last few minutes at Forest Green or Swindon, if he comes on, then we've got that option there as well.
It's interesting, though, because from what I've seen, he isn't a player that would necessarily suit that pressing game that Tranmere are currently trying to adopt. He is someone who is more suited to other facets of striking, getting the ball in with his back to goal, getting the ball in at head height so he can meet those crosses that you detail. So actually, it gives Tranmere a different option as to what they want to do tactically to what they're doing at the moment as well, which is both a good and a bad thing. I mean, you don't want to throw everything out that they've developed over the last 2 or 3 months, which has largely been successful, bar a few games, which have been very disappointing. But equally, if you've got the person who is really the best striker at the club available, you probably want to play in the way that best suits him.
Yeah, it's a real quandary. Like you say, we've got our pressing game, but as you say, Luke Norris isn't into that. And if we try to make him do that, I think we'd probably see another injury pretty soon. How to deal with Luke Norris. But as you say, he is the best striker on the books. And I think when we all saw the first game of the season last year against Stevenage, and when we've seen we've needed a player like Norris who is, you hate him if he's not on your team, but you love him if he is in your team. He does the dirty work, and he can get goals. So, but like I say, it does give that. We do have those different options if we play teams. We can be a bit like we might be able to shape up like Brian Little used to make a shape up. Sometimes it'd be a 5-3-2, sometimes a 4-4-2, depending on who we were playing. Not that it'd be a change in shape as that much, but a change in playing style. So, but also if what we're doing is working, then it's difficult to think why change it. So it'd be very difficult to change anything after a 4-0 win against Stockport at home. But if we don't turn up against Forest Green and we've got Luke Norris fit for Swindon, who knows, could see a slight change in how we do our pressing game, or who knows.